Chapter 29. Play Nice. Michael looked at his phone.
They were headed toward the pier before the tag in her shoe got too far away. Where do you think he's taking her?
Somewhere easy to dump a body, maybe? Michael's horror made Anton backtrack. Oh my god, my awful sense of humor has the worst timing. Michael, he has to get her energy first. As long as he doesn't have it, she will be safe.
Safe?
Anton knew he made another mistake.
She's not in any way safe with that asshole. You saw how terrified she was of him, and now she's back there all over again.
Michael was yelling by the end. Anton lifted a finger to his lips, reprimanding. Shh! You're going to scare dinner. Michael growled in frustration, but reduced his volume.
Going to scare dinner? And just where are these promised scum you claim to tend hang around here?
I didn't say here specifically. In hunting, one must be patient.
Now shh! No one is going to come through here if we're talking.
The men hung back in the deep shadow of a recycling dumpster. It only took a few minutes of silence before some very sketchy-looking guys came around the corner, coming closer to them. Anton looked at Michael, who nodded. As the men passed, Anton and Michael came up behind them. Before the strangers could turn around, the vampires were on them, feasting until Anton dropped his body and pointed to Michael, who dropped his. They checked for pulses. Alive.
See? Said Anton. Nothing to it. As long as you don't drain a person, you won't kill them. How are you feeling?
Michael took inventory of himself.
Better, but Anton, he kicked my ass. He's too strong for either of us.
Do you think he's stronger than both of us?
I don't know. Maybe.
Anton put a hand on his chin and thought, then looked down. Perhaps we should move to a different location? He indicated to the bodies of the men. Michael nodded and followed Anton down some more alleys and narrow side streets.
I do have a theory, but I never really experimented or took notes. I believe the more mana a vampire possesses, the stronger they become, at least to a certain extent.
Michael clarified.
You're saying all we need to do is find more mana? How much more?
Anton threw his hands up.
Hell if I know, it's just a theory, but I'm willing to try it if you are.
Michael stuck his hand out. Anton smiled and shook it.
All right then, let's get us some more Seattle suckers and go save Drew.
For his playful words, his tone betrayed worry. Michael glared at his attempt at humor, but nodded all the same. I regained some control of my limbs as time passed. I had remembered everything felt like forever in the White Room, and that remained true now. The room was cold to the point that I shivered. The can light above me buzzed at an annoying frequency, making my ears ring. I don't know how long it was before that hatch opened, and I saw Nicola holding a tray of food with a glass of water. More graceful than a fancy waiter, he stepped through the doorway and let the hatch shut behind him. There has to be some way the door is being controlled from the outside while he is in here with me. How else is he getting out? And it might explain how he managed to get stuck last time. Is there someone else here? Maybe they're just as trapped as I am.
How are you feeling now, Ms. Nelson? How are you feeling now, Ms. Nelson?
I might have the best chance by playing along. Let him stay in control. I'm a bit thirsty, I managed to get out. He nodded, carefully setting the tray on the floor. He stood with the glass in one hand. He tipped the glass toward my lips. I swallowed most of it. Some of the water dribbled out of my mouth, having flowed too quickly at first. He set it down and picked up a napkin. He bent down a little too closely to wipe my mouth. Then his eyes drifted to my neck. My eyes went wide as I noticed his attention. He smiled at my reaction.
It seems I'm a bit thirsty, too.
No, please! He tipped his head back to drink from the same cup. Nicola lifted a brow.
What did you think I meant?
He set it back down, picking up a plate with fruits, cheeses, and meats, all small enough to be picked up with a small fork. He picked up a chunk of apple, its outer flesh a golden yellow. He brought it in front of my face. Breathe, play nice, play along. I opened up my mouth and he put the piece in my mouth. I bit it off, chewing slowly. It was sweet with a crisp crunch. He continued feeding me, little piece by little piece, until I had emptied the small plate. He picked up the tray, now empty of food, and turned as if he'd leave. I had to buy more time. Nick! Nicola stopped, turning with a slow smile. Yes? His voice rumbled. Using the nickname he gave seems to work. Keep on his good side. Could I have another drink? I asked, my voice smaller than I meant for it to be. He looked at me for probably 5 seconds before he set the tray down. He stood back up and stooped to help me with the glass. Again, water dripped from the corners of my mouth. He used his thumb to wipe the water droplets this time, licking them up after. He smiled at my squirm. Pervert. He returned the glass to the tray, stood, and left the cell. I needed to try to think. How could I possibly prolong my life? I had to give Michael and Anton a chance to find me. I had to give myself a chance to live. I looked around the room as best I could, now that I was fully awake. It was arranged the same way as the other room, with a speaker in the back corner of the ceiling, though this room was significantly smaller. I looked down where the legs of the chair met the floor. The nuts had been welded to the bolts in the floor. Tears stung my eyes as I realized that Nicola had indeed taken my escape as an opportunity to improve his next cell. I tried to control my breathing, my chin quivering with fear. Come on, Drew, keep it together. You can't get out if you're already dead. How could I buy more time? How many has that been? Michael asked breathlessly after their last little jog away from a couple of downed dudes. These last ones had been propositioning women who weren't asking for it, taking it as far as following the last woman. She began to run. So did they. So did the vampires. The vampires were fastest. The woman had gotten far, far away before she had realized that no one was chasing her anymore. She ran the rest of her way home. Anton cleared his throat and replied, I'm not sure. He shrugged. Michael huffed, a sound that was a mix of frustration and exasperated laughter. Do you think we're any faster or stronger? He felt as if he couldn't get enough mana. He worried that they'd still fail, even with this plan. No clue. But it's been over a day since Drew was taken. We need to get her back. Michael's jaw clenched, as if he could forget, as if he'd stopped seeing her face every time he blinked. How about a quick field test, just to see if we're any faster, at least, Michael suggested. Anton nodded and got into a runner's stance, looking like he was in a deep lunge as he looked down the clear street. Am I clear to run? Nobody behind me but you? You're good to go. Before Michael could finish, Anton shot down the street at breakneck speed. It was less than 3 seconds for him to go down to the end of the road several blocks away and back. The wind whooshed around Michael as he stopped in front of him. Well, Michael asked, do you feel faster? I've never seen you run. I can't compare. Anton's eyes were the widest Michael had ever seen, and his grin was almost maniacal. Oh yeah, I'm faster. Michael grinned widely back. Then let's go get Drew back. I continued to twist, the seat having already been uncomfortable without being tied to it. I looked at my arms, sure more than once that I had accidentally tore skin and knew that I would see rope burns underneath. I wanted to stretch. My knees weren't used to this. My shoulders, too, suffered from my arms being back, tied so tightly. I stretched my neck as far out and around as I could, my neck as stiff as everything else.
You keep swinging that thing around and I may have to come bite it, purred through the room. My head whipped around to look at the speaker, as if by looking at it I'd be looking at him. Then I wondered, just how did he see me? I continued to look around, using my eyes more than my neck, not wanting to draw attention to myself again. I thought I might have seen something small and round that could be a camera up at the top of the front corner of the room, directly across from the speaker. Yes, I do see you, Miss Nelson. I shrunk into the chair, my head whipping from the speaker to the camera. Nicola rumbled a low laugh. Oh, that was funny. I wondered if there was anyone else here besides him. With how often he had various announcements and radio gigs, he couldn't possibly be here all the time. When could I risk it? I continued to struggle against my restraints, the ropes chafing against my skin. My wrists and ankles began to feel raw in places. I didn't know how long I continued to struggle, or how long I waited after Nicola's sick joke, but I finally asked out loud, "If there's somebody else there besides Nicola, please? I know that vampires are real and that they can be good. Not all of them are as despicable as Nicola. My best friend, Michael, was turned last year. My other friend, Anton, is 500 years old and one of the kindest people I know. There is such a thing as good vampires. Please, if you're there, help me get away from Nicola. Let me go." I was met with silence. I waited for a response, any kind of reply. Nothing. Time passed in a blur of rope burn and stiff joints. I kept pulling, kept hoping, but hope was becoming more and more fragile. Was he a sailor in a past life? What is with these knots? Nicola arrived with another tray of food. "Nick?" That venomous smile. "Yes, Miss Nelson?" "What if I need to use the bathroom?" I didn't really need to go all that badly, but I needed to get out of this room. Anything to get out of this room. "Huh," Nicola said. "No one's ever bothered asking. Not sure if anyone has been around long enough to need to." He set the tray on the ground as before, picking up the small plate with meat and fruit. He speared some, holding it up to me. I took the bite, chewing quickly. "Nick, please, I really need to go." It didn't take a lot of effort to sound desperate. He sighed, put out with my mortal needs. He set the plate down and picked up the tray again, turning for the door. "Wait!" he said without stopping. "If you need the washroom, you'll need someone to go with you. I'm guessing you'd prefer another female?" I didn't know how to respond. Was he going to let me out? Was there really someone else here? He left, the door locking behind him. A few minutes later, he came back with a woman a little younger than I, her hair a medium mousy brown, long and streaming down her back. She had a tired face, as if she was as much a prisoner here as I. She looked down and away, completely avoiding eye contact. Nicola introduced her. "This is Scylla. She'll accompany you." He untied the ropes at my ankles with an ease that made me want to hurl. I had been trying at those knots for ages, and he just needed to pull a few things to free me. I rubbed at my wrists as they were freed, the raw skin chapped and painful. Nicola took me by one elbow, Scylla the other, as they lifted me to standing. Apparently, that drug was still working out of my system, as I didn't have complete control of my legs. They walked me toward the door, toward freedom. If only I was able to run. Scylla put an arm around my waist, helping to hoist my feet over the lip of the hatch. The washroom was right next to the white room. I wondered how big the boat we were on was. Nicola let go of me, letting Scylla take all my weight. He looked at her as if in warning before she helped me in and closed the hatch behind us. She walked me over to the toilet. "Can you get your pants down yourself, or do you need help?" She had an
English accent and a voice that was too quiet, as if she was purposely muting herself. "Scylla, are you a prisoner too?" I whispered, frantic. I had to know. Would she be able to help me? "Of a sort," she mumbled. "Closer to an indentured servant if you need a label. Now, do you actually need to go or not?" She started turning us around. I do! I prayed that I had enough waste in my system to be able to even go, even if I had to go in front of somebody. She nodded, turning back toward the toilet again. Between the two of us, we managed to get my jeans down far enough so I could sit on the toilet without issue. She was gentle, aware of my burns around my ankles. Scylla looked to the right and the middle distance as I took care of my business, giving me privacy. She fidgeted with her hands as she waited. I needed her help getting my pants back up again, and it was more complicated than pulling them down. I tried to plead with her as she helped me get the jeans over my hips. "Scylla, please, help me out of here. Maybe you can get out of here too." Scylla gave a humorless chuckle. "Free. You're already dead. Just accept it." Her words shook inside of me, but I could not accept this. Would not accept this. "You're why Nicola was stuck in the White Room after I escaped, aren't you?" It was more a statement than a question. She stopped pulling on my pants. One of her hands went to her cheek as if in memory of a sting. "He punished me for it. I cannot help you." She did up the button on my pants and zipped them. "Scylla, wait, please, please!" But she just put her arm around my waist, helped me to the sink to wash my hands, then turned us to the door. "Please!" She paused for the briefest of moments before turning to me. I looked into her gray-blue eyes, mine pleading for help. Hers were almost empty, as if all hope and light was gone from her. But something glimmered in those eyes, something deep that I couldn't label. "Miss, please, you don't know what he's—" She paused, her gaze darkening. "I suppose you do know what he's like. So you know that I cannot help you." She looked into my eyes a moment longer, as if she'd say something more, then opened the door before I could say anything else. Nicola was there, and he escorted Scylla and I back to that awful White Room. He picked one of the ropes up off the ground. "No!" I screamed. "Please, Nicola, don't tie me up again. You already welded the chair to the floor. There's no way I can get out again. Please!" "I'll be good. I'll stay in the awful room. Just please don't tie me up again." Nicola had a bored look on his face, as if he knew I wanted to fight this. He looked to the rope in his hand as if trying to make a decision. He nodded, then came toward me, the rope still in his hand. He was still going to tie me up. "No, no, please, please!" I tried to squirm out of Scylla's hold, but she was strong. I fought with everything I had, flopping out of Scylla's arms onto the carpet with a muffled thud. I tried to crawl away, my legs nearly useless. Scylla just left the room, walking past me and closing the door. I screamed and tried to crawl faster, away from Nicola. He rolled his eyes, stalking toward me, the rope clenched in his hand. He grabbed my ankle, forcing me to land flat on my stomach. I couldn't stop him as he flipped me over and tied my hands together in front of me. "Now," he said, his voice matter-of-fact. "You've been good enough. I don't mind only tying your wrists. But," he paused, making sure I was paying very close attention, "you do something stupid like last time." His face came within inches of mine. "I wonder what parts of you will still work when hope is gone. Maybe we'll find out." The promise in his eyes made my soul quiver, my entire being more than terrified of the vampire in front of me. I was frozen in place, shaking. Nicola must have been satisfied that I would be a good girl, because he stood. The door swung shut behind him.